We want to talk about a story that we are following, and we had a brief conversation about it. It's Uptown Charlotte. There are a lot of things that happen in Uptown Charlotte. However, Uptown Charlotte, although there are a lot of things, there are folks that complain that parking, foot traffic, is an issue. The overall convenience of Uptown is an issue.
Parking is an issue.
Parking is an issue. Yeah.
I've said it before here on Live Impact News. It's no secret.
It's no secret.
Yeah. Y'all know I'm fed up with the parking in Uptown. I'm fed up with it.
It is a problem, and it's all linked back to a thing that we've covered in the past. Everything has some sort of connection. That's why we have Julie Kay here following the story. That connection I'm making is the one since Sales Transit.
Don't worry about it.
I try to remember.
It has many names.
It has many names. PAVE Act is one of the names. But the reason why I bring that up, because this is supposed to help with these problems that are kind of laid out. Can you?
Yeah. And this is like, I mean, of course, the 1 cent sales tax or the PAVE Act or the transit tax, whatever you want to call it, it's something that you will most likely see on your ballot if you live in Mecklenburg County this November. And we can get to the steps that still need to happen before that actually happens. But most likely, people will get a chance to vote on if they want to raise their taxes to pay for improvements in roads, the light rail expansion, the red line, buses expansion, so all sorts of things with the goal to make Charlotte, in theory, a more accessible city, a more efficient city, especially we're talking about Uptown because we have all these big events. I feel like almost every week now we get some sort of announcement of something else coming to Charlotte. And for those of us who don't live in Uptown or live walkable from Uptown, which I believe is everyone in this vicinity, we don't want to pay for the parking. Now, of course, right now the light rail does already go into Uptown. Of course, that's the center of a lot of it. But I did speak with a small business owner. I spoke with a woman who runs a food truck. And she says, of course, like every business, we struggled during COVID. It's not that the light rail wasn't in existence during COVID, but less foot traffic for sure. She was like, when that ended and restrictions got pulled back, we were really hoping people would come back to Uptown. People would come back to working in person. And to some extent that has happened, but at these big events where we're trying to bring more people in at the Spectrum Center, Bank of America Stadium, she says the parking situation is so bad that they're still struggling. They haven't bounced back from COVID as much as they would have liked to by now. So she's really hoping that this plan, however long it takes to implement, is going to help them.
And you also spoke with correct me if I'm wrong, county commissioner as
Councilwoman.
Councilwoman, I'm
yes,
sorry.
City Councilwoman Dimple Ajmir. I know that honestly everyone's involved in
I
this.
was about to say, you talk to so many people, I'm like, okay, I'm sorry for the mistake, but yes.
Yes, and so she is the budget chair as well for City Council. So she's, of course, very involved in these financial discussions. Right now, they've already done their work on it. Of course, it will continue later. It does go next to the Board of Commissioners, but I chatted with Dimple because this is something that they are going to have to deal with if it does get passed, because they're going to have to help appoint people to this transit authority. So about 60% of the funds will go to the Transit Authority to decide how those train expansions and the bus expansions are going to operate. City Council and County Board of Commissioners, and I think it's the Charlotte Business Alliance, they will all have to appoint people to that authority to make those decisions. And there has been some discussion about who should be involved in that decision making, because we, a lot of people, a couple of, the local coalitions have spoken up and said, I don't want it to just be business leaders who are a part of this. I want it to be people who actually use the train, who are impacted by delays, seniors, students, that kind of group that is going to be more impacted by this. And I brought that up to her, and she said, that's something that we're going to do as council, she hopes, is when they make their appointments, they get 12. They're going to prioritize people who are most impacted by this and trying to create a diverse group. But that is a concern right now, just about, we're talking about a lot of money, and who's going to be impacted first. That's going to really be determined by who's on this board.
And you sort of spoke to this, but I just want to ask plainly, there's so many hands in the pot when it comes to this. and there's so much money at stake. Is there any concern that this may not go as planned with the money? Like, is there any concern at all with any of this?
That it won't be fully approved?
Yes.
So yes, I think that's
because it's not like a done deal.
Oh, no,
yeah,
not by any means. So I think it's a done deal almost, knock on wood, that it ends up on the ballot for people to decide. It does still have a couple hurdles. The County Board of Commissioners, I spoke with Mark Jarrell, he's the board chair, and he said they plan to vote on it to approve the language at their August 6th meeting when they return in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So that's going to come up. That will send it to the County Board of Elections. Once they get that language, they're going to start printing those ballots, I think, early September. So they'll have it in time, assuming that the commissioners do it at the meeting that they are expected to. So there's no reason otherwise that it wouldn't end up on your ballot. But, I mean, of course, we've talked about East Charlotte, Matthews in particular, not a huge fan of the plan. Mayor John Higdon in Matthews has been very vocal about how, they think they're getting the short end of the stick. This light rail expansion, the red line, isn't going to be the same for the suggested silver line. That's now going to be most likely bus systems as opposed to a light rail, which they say is not the same in terms of economic growth that you get from that. I mean, you look at places like South End that has access to the light rail and how much they've grown in recent years. So it'll be interesting to see if there's still pushback on that. When Mayor John Higdon did he is running again for re-election. We spoke to him then a couple of weeks ago. He said, this is, the people have somewhat spoken already. This is not really a central part of my campaign anymore. Of course, we still want to push for Matthews to be at the forefront of this conversation, but it's no longer central, I think, to his narrative. So I don't think we'll see as much pushback as we have, but that's still a huge piece of the discussion and something voters will weigh in on however they please in November.
And that's another hurdle. You put on the ballot, voters have to vote on it. You're going to campaign for it, but there are also going to be people that campaign against it. So it's we're not out of the weeds yet, but interesting story of how this all sort of trickles down. And specifically, we talk about Uptown. I'm not gonna mention the P word, parking.
Well, and we talk about how expensive parking is.
I don't want to trigger Carlene.
And then we're also talking about, we are at the core here, we're talking about raising taxes. So we're talking about money. So you never know what people are going to say about that.
We have time, and Julie Kay will be in here breaking this all down. I wanted to throw out more races and everything. I have a bunch of other questions I want to ask you, but we will save that for a different time. You're covering a different story, Julie. So
I'm sure I'll return.
I don't want to overwhelm you, Julie. That's Julie Kay. Before you get out of here, when can folks catch your story this evening?
6:15.
6:15. You can catch Julie's story, and you also can catch it on our website and on our news app. Julie, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we talked about it before. It is hot. I mean, there's just no way around it. That's the big story, at least through
There's no way to cut it.
the better part of next week.
Right.
This weekend, I know what I'm doing this weekend, and that's absolutely nothing because it's so hot.
It is very hot.